commandment. What did you learn from some of the videos? Tell me 2 things that you have learned.
Sixth commandment's bad.
No, it's no.
Okay,
Adultery is bad.
raise up your hand. I cannot possibly to hear everybody speaking at the same time.
It's bad.
Adultery is bad.
Did it say that?
Oh, thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
Wasn't
bad?
the Pope's like guy was talking about it?
Okay, what did the
The
Pope
Pope's
say?
guy.
The Pope did. He was just like the Pope was sitting there, and then the guy was like talking, and then like the Pope got up and then he like blessed the something. He like said like in the name of the Father, Son. But he said in like a different language.
Okay, Zane. Listen, everybody. If you share, this is not sharing, right? The Pope guy.
Well,
I
know who
don't call your grandfather your grandfather guy.
Oh.
Do I?
But it wasn't.
Okay, so who is the guy?
Translator.
He's a priest. He has a priest outfit there.
Oh.
It's not Halloween every day.
You check the date.
Okay, so and tell me one thing that the translator, the priest, says about the church teaching, the Pope's teaching about the 6th commandment.
He was saying like you should like make like a stable relationship before you like you should like commit to each other.
Okay.
And like that means like that involves like trust and stuff. That's what they're talking about.
Okay. So at the end of the video, it says 3 really important words. What are those 3 words? Trust. What else? 2 others. Trust,
Is it like love?
love,
Yeah.
and start with an H. Honor.
Happiness.
Honor. So when you have an adultery, is it honoring somebody?
No.
Is it trusting?
No.
Is it more loving?
No, it's more lust than love.
You got that one right. So right. So what happened is, actually this commandment is really, really good for you. Because it may not be today you're looking for somebody to get married or go to bed or whatever. But you have to start knowing. Because when people look at you, you can be somebody's friends that just fool around. Or you can really be a leader, helping other people don't mess up their life, so they will have a better life. When you're doing this, you're helping the world as well as you are doing your own responsibility as a Catholic. We're called to do that. Sometimes you don't do good. Sometimes you do better. Right? So let's try to call ourselves to be a little more. People change. That's why it's really hard. If 2 person, how many of you remember when you're kindergarten and your mom and your relative or all the friends will tease you and say, oh, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. I'm gonna marry that person. Have you ever seen people teasing the little children? You heard about it. Or even when you're 4th grade or 5th grade, and people tease you about it because you're starting to have hormone and you started to have feelings of other people than yourself. So what happened is everybody keeps growing. But then when you're not growing in a certain stage, that you say, I like the way I am. Then you can make decisions, because what happens if you are growing in a stage that you love yourself so much, but the other person say, no, that's not enough for me, that's not enough. So you will never match each other. That's why we have to wait. Otherwise, you're losing something too. Remember last week we were talking about do not kill and watching the video of the abortion. The saddest things I think for that is not even the baby who died, because the baby had to go to God. That's not too bad. The saddest thing is some of the fathers don't think that it's only women that is being hurt. Don't think that it doesn't, cost you anything. It's almost that sometimes when the woman didn't even give you a chance to keep the baby, you're screwed. You really don't have a chance. So that's why you have to know the person. No, you just have to know the person, right? Because people can change. You don't even know how that person do things, and then you committed yourself totally, and another life that is not yours. It's only part of yours. That's why you have to think about it. Why do we have the parents here? Because the whole life is all these parents, all people who are Christian and Catholic is called to get married at the church. We're inviting God. The couple are the one performing the sacraments, not the priest. However, the couple invite God in front of God and asking God, and the priest and all the people show up at the wedding to be the witness. That means that if you go there, anything happen, these people are supposed to help them to really think about it. What happened? What went wrong? Right? So they are all called by God to show everybody God's love from the way they chose to receive the sacraments, loving each other. Loving each other so fully. Not so much of, oh, you did the right thing, that's why I love you. That's not a marriage life. God loves us even though we don't do well, and God keeps loving us. So we're going to see what happened. Is it easy to live a marriage life? Or what can we learn from them when you are beginning your journey to finding somebody? Because it's not fun. Just think about it. You shared before, right? Your mom and dad are not together. You shared it.
Me?
So it hurts sometimes. It hurts. And I have a lot of friends that are like that too. Sometimes it's hard because it will affect you, affect the way you trust other people. So we have to really learn and come together, because this is the church, this is another of your family. And we share in this room. No other classes or people know or understand who we are, because in this kind of classes you come here and share, and this makes us even closer to each other. So I have 4 different questions for our panelists. And we want them to share a little bit. So the first question I have was from the first video. the Pope was saying, actually, the priest was translating it in English. The Pope said all those things. So the Pope said fidelity is the signs of a free, mature, and responsible relationship which rejects selfishness and is marked by generous gift of self. And I want the panelists trying to comment on, you tell us in your own word, in your own example, experiences, to demonstrate the meaning of what the Pope says about this thing. So it says that it's a generous gift of self. That means that when a father and a mother doing something, they don't really owe you anything, really. They gave you birth, and some parents, they just left you. However, it's a selfless gift for us when they take care of us. So what does it mean to take part of yourself to take care of your family? How did you witness your love in this way? Because when you do that, all of us are supposed to see God in you. And we're not talking about professionals. None of us are perfect. Even you and I, when we change our mind, we do everything in this world, we're not perfect. So, but when we know what is doing right or wrong, we can either do more or less, so that we can become more of the gift of what God gives us. So who wants to start first?
Let's see, are we recording everything now today? Recording?
You'll know tomorrow. That's like that we get different.
There is a recording.
Okay.
When we get married, or whatever, it's like you're not just marrying the person that you're marrying the family of the person. So one thing about marriage, at least for us, is compromise. So, for example, if Christmas, I'm always spending time with my own family. As a part of love, I cannot just insist that it's always with my family. I'm also compromising to go with his family, so vice versa. So that's just an example of love and not insistence.
Thanks for reminding me. Sorry. Stop.
Okay, I think the marriage for me is a really a lifetime commitment. So at the time you walk into the church and your future wife, and then become the wife, it's really a commitment at that time. So at that time I was not a Catholic. So, but you really need to trust in God. That is the right choice for you, because you will have it's a learning, a lifelong journey to learn how to get along, and also the future commitment for your kids. So that's really demonstrate your love to your spouse and to your family.
For me, I think my marriage to me is, I share more like how I experienced. I think I learned a lot how to love during my marriage, because I feel like my husband is a true man who actors, and because he does care about the family a lot. He
what you guys can take from whatever we are saying. You guys are not seeing yourself getting married anytime soon, and like, why is it even gonna be applicable to you guys, right? But I think if you look at long term, if you eventually get to a point that 1 + 1 is more than 2, I'm not saying that 1 + 1 becomes one more baby and becomes 3. So, you know, even if you're not having a baby, right, but and 1 + 1 as a family, you're gonna get a lot more out of just thinking all about what you want and what your wife want, like individually or separately. I think that's how you experience having a family and having faithful to your family and having to give up, you know, some of your selfishness, you know, makes sense. I think that's what we, you know, get to know a lot of stories in the Bible that, you know, it doesn't really make sense for that person to do that because, I mean, he doesn't need to. I've been married for more than 10, 11 years now. The early, you know, time of my marriage, I don't see that. You know, I tend to be more selfish, you know, first few years, and then things happen, and then you realize that, well, it's, you know, 1 + 1 is more than 2. Then you start practicing that, and you're becoming, you know, more confident to the relationship that you know that, well, eventually we're gonna get better and better.
1 + 1 = 7 billion.
Very optimistic.
What did you say?
1 + 1 = 7 million.
7 billion?
7 billion.
Well, you know,
Because Adam plus Eve equals the current world population.
it's not impossible, because you look at the Holy Father.
Technically, it's already
1 + 1, who is the other one that he is plusing?
God.
God. And then how many people that he has to shepherd, right?
Yeah, that's what
So that is also vocation. And vocation, adultery, is not just only husband and wife. It's also religious life too. And again, why do you think there was a scandal of the church? Somebody started and said, hey, I love God, I can do that, I can serve God. And then they changed their mind. It happens. But that's why all the things that we can do is prepare ourselves better. Prepare and really prepare your whole person as a temple of God. As a temple that you can invite the love of your life to come and share that space. It's sacred. When you have a diamond, your great-grandmother give you a diamond. Would you let anybody just to wear it, to try it? Would you do that? I don't think I would. If somebody, I mean, really don't mean it, and both of you just innocently and say, hey, gosh, you know, you're my best friend, and let me show you the ring that I got from my great-grandmother. It's real precious stone. And then the person said, can I try it on? And you were so generous. He said, yes, of course. You're my best friend. And then they drop it. Is that the best friend you're going to marry? No. So when you have a diamond, you don't just give it to anybody to try it out. You want to be so safe and make sure that is taken care and keeping safe until the person that you have no doubt about it, because it belongs to the family.
What's so bad about dropping the diamond?
Anybody who wants to answer it?
It's involved in now.
There's nothing wrong that you lost the diamond, but you have some treasure that you cannot give it to somebody. I mean, if you lose it, you lose it, right? But do you want to lose it that way? Really?
No, he was explaining it.
Good. Okay, good.
So someone had mentioned to me if you are overly addicted about certain things, for example, I don't know, like a football team or something like that. I mean, is that some sort of adultery too?
Loving something else.
Like too much?
I think that is not really an adultery, but that is the mean of adultery, right? That's not adultery, it's a mean of adultery. Does it make sense? So let's say I have a problem with my husband, and we just change our mind too much. So we can't even have a friend kind of talks anymore. But then I feel lonely. I need something too, right? So what happened is I'm taking other things to replace that love. Not just only someone, but something. So is it good? No. No.
So that's self-fulfilling maybe?
So it depends on like.
I don't
why.
think it will fulfill, but it's something better than zero, right? You have to be so clear about this commandment because there are so many sick people out there. I don't want to encourage you to go and search it out from YouTube, but the people are so desperate, not just only doing for, a baseball team or whatever, they do it with a dog and cat. That's just like, that's why the world is so messed up. When you don't even know people, how can you give your diamond to somebody? Not even possible, right? Yeah.
Is it adultery to listen to inappropriate songs?
Huh? What did you say?
What are you saying?
I mean, I just didn't hear it. Tell me.
Is it adultery to listen to inappropriate songs?
Okay, who wants to answer that?
No.
Any panelists?
What's the last word again?
Songs. Inappropriate music.
Oh,
Is it adultery?
I think so. Yes.
Huh?
I think it is inappropriate. Yes. I think it's adultery. Yes.
Thank you for the question. It's really the same thing that I keep saying. Why are we not, why is it porno is not good? Why is it music like this is not good? When you're healthy, it won't bother you, it's just a song. Many people say that, right? But it's when you don't feel good, all the evil come out. You don't want to subconsciously put in trash in your body, so when you're not noticing all this bad thing coming out to haunt you, do this, do that, would be much harder, it will hurt you more. The pain won't go away. That's why we're not doing it. It's not that we're not capable to do it. We're not, God made us such a whim that we cannot even listen to one song about it. It's not that. God gave us the ears. We're capable to listen. But is it good for me? Does it make sense? Anybody comment? Okay, so we move on to
I
it.
don't get it. I don't get it.
So when you don't feel good,
What do you
you
mean by
just-
that? Like angry or
no, like let's say
any bad?
let's say you're lonely.
Okay.
Let's say your parents are not here. The girls that you have a crush on, somehow other guys was talking to her and you didn't even get a chance to get closer. It can get lonely. I mean, come on, realistic.
Okay.
Otherwise, why come to these kind of things, So what happened is, in those times when you don't feel good, You say, oh heck, I can do that, because you have already searched out the song. You have already watched some of those things. And why not?
Okay, what counts as an inappropriate song? Let's go, just focus on song versus.
Songs that provoke you to do something that you're not supposed to do.
Would you I consider songs with inappropriate themes to be inappropriate.
What is appropriate?
What?
Then what counts as appropriate?
And like what do you?
So you're saying everyone has a different standard. It could be inappropriate for you, but it's not inappropriate for another person. Is that what you're trying to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like if
Very,
song
very,
doesn't-
very good question. The appropriateness is also reflect on who God is. God has already, you undermined who you are. God has given you the life that is made of His own image. Your conscience can tell you. So let's say this song that I found, there's some good things. It's always have some good things on it. But then there was a few words that I'm not quite sure. If I cannot even listen in front of you, I shouldn't listen to it on my own. It's that simple. If I'm going to watch a movie that I cannot show it to Bruno, I shouldn't watch it. I really shouldn't.
I think from my perspective, it's the question that we have to ask ourselves at the end of the day, what kind of person you want to be. I mean, I've watched some stupid things and inappropriate things, and I travel in too many places, and there are a lot of inappropriate, people who wanted to approach us. That happens all the time. At the end of the day, you ask yourself what kind of person you want to be. Whether it be something that you want to do more or do less. If my wife and my daughter is not around, should I just turn on my computer and get onto a porn site? Or should I just, spend time doing some other things that is more constructive to the family? When I was younger, I'd probably do more of the inappropriate thing, but when you get older, like I mentioned, you realize that, family is more important, then you realize that this is not good for me. What kind of person do I want to be? And then you started to make that better choice. That's how I made that decision.
I just want to say, I don't know a lot of you, but Sister Maria and I go way back. I was in CCD class and she taught me, and but I really am so encouraged by the questions that are coming up, from these guys. I'm really impressed because you're really asking deep questions. They're really good questions. But I think that, and to the point, I think you do ask the question, what kind of Christian do you want to be? But I do believe that we are made in the image of God. When we're made in the image of God, God can deposit the Holy Spirit in you. You know when it's inappropriate. You know. And it is a matter of choice. You have a choice every day. Every day. Do you wake up? Do you choose God? Do you choose to go your own way? That one day when you got baptized, or you commit yourself, right? That one day, it's an everyday choice. So like throughout the day, when you see a poster, I'm in advertising, so I see this stuff all the time, And can I avoid it? No, because it's my work. It's like right in front of me. Like I didn't choose the art that's right there, right? So what do I do with that, right? But you know, like I believe all of you guys are here because the Holy Spirit placed you here. Like God called you to be here. So you have the Holy Spirit in you. You trust that. You know that your parents brought you up. You got sisters, you got people around you, and the thing is that when people tell you, like when God is telling you not to do something, and I'm only speaking because it's speaking to me. Like being in this class today, I didn't plan this. I was just hanging out. Sister, you should come. And
I was close to the door.
I actually have to go in a little bit. My dad and grandma was looking for me. But I'm learning so much from you guys, and I'm walking away with a lot of things to pray about, think about, it is a choice. And the thing is like, when you really think about why God gives you the commandment, you know, if you love somebody, you tell them to do things that's good for them. You know, you might not understand it. You know, like when you were little, you know, your dad or parents or somebody tell you don't stick your finger in the socket. Okay, you don't go test it out. You know, you just don't stick your hand in the socket. You know, or the stove, you know, hey, it's hot, don't touch that, don't go by there. You have to just trust it. You just gotta go, okay, they said no, that's a no, right? But later as you grow older, you realize, that's why. So a lot of times even now, you might say, well, you know, I don't get it. Like, I don't get what that's a bad song, okay? But the thing is, like, you even, and I would even say that it's not even when you feel bad. Even when you feel good and you're listening to those songs, you don't realize the seed, the things that's deposited in your memory, in your imagination, in your things. And I'm just sharing this because of my experience. It really screws you up. Like you don't wanna play with stuff like that because, you know, you wanna be in the right mind, you wanna be powerful, you wanna think strong, powerful, amazing God thoughts, you know? You don't need any of that funny stuff. And that whole diamond example is a great example. Think about it. If somebody gave you a Ferrari, a Porsche, okay, are you going to hand the keys to just anybody to drive it? Seriously. I don't know about you, but I might even have trouble having people around that car. Okay? I'm going to park way over there. But, you know, I just feel really encouraged by you guys, and I just will be praying for you guys. I think it's really amazing topic, and you know, sister, thank you for inviting me today. And yeah, I'm just like, you know, this is really good stuff.
I tell you.
It's very life applicational.
Yeah. Okay. So, any other questions? Second round for them to answer. So something that the Holy Father also said. Every heart long for love, and all authentic love is a reflection of God's eternal love. Our vocation to love demands that we grow in the self-knowledge, born of mastering our impulses and relating to others with honesty and integrity. Would you share with us how do you do it? In one sense, what the Holy Father say, okay, if I was not given an opportunity to do a lot of housework when I was growing up, and I always tell Grandma, I did that, I honestly did that. If I need a glass of water, I just really have to call my grandmother's name, Grandma, and water will come to my hand. It's rotten, don't do it. However, that's the way we grew up, right? Your grandma spoiled you. But there was a lot of different kind of impulses. The Holy Father said we have to look at that and change. Change to be a better person. While I'm giving them an opportunity to think of the question, actually Emily's parents still come to this church. And the reason why I invited her to come here is because she's going to the Christian church now. You have choices, and her reason for going to a Christian church is not a bad thing. She said the Catholic Church did not have anybody to challenge her to think or teach her well. Why do I tell you that I know that? Why do you think I really have the fourth job? Yes, I enjoy loving talking about God. But it's really important for us to come together to really decide, do I really believe in this stuff? Does this stuff help me to be a better person? How is my family show the example of faith, honor, trust, respect? Because if your family fail you, you still have a big family here. You still have a lot of example of good people to help you to go through life. That's why I think it's worthwhile for this early morning to have a chance to learn from each other. So let's hear what this parents who has lived through the life has to say. How do you master yourself in your impulses? Or any other thing that the Holy Father suggests? When do you see that you have to be honest to your spouse, integrity? How do you show that? Go ahead.
Ladies first.
I guess I can give my example. When my husband comes home every day, no doubt, he'll be tired and he'll say, I just have an hour and a half drive going there, hour and a half drive going that. So when I go home, I already know what he's gonna say. That can get really tiring for me to receive that every day. And it makes me feel like, gosh, what kind of a husband is always complaining. There's this, it's that, it's a trash picked up or whatever. So I come to the point where I'm going, I look at my friends, my coworkers, how they talk about how their husband does this, all so good and everything. And I feel like, am I missing out? Did I marry the right person? So I have to be strong. I have to say, you know what? I made a commitment. I gotta be patient. When he comes home, I know he's gonna complain. Instead of arguing back, just listen and then have dinner and then we can talk. He'll be more calm, more easy. It's just an example of showing that I'm gonna love him however he is. He's not hurting me in terms of physically hurting me or what. He's hurt himself. So I recognize that. I feel like I am loving him. And I hope he sees that.
Very nice. Listen.
I got married.
Talk in front of your wife.
I got married for more than 20 years, so you know, it's a really long journey and. Well, it started a bit tough from the beginning when you try to sort of adjust to become from single to become a married person. So both sides have different, characters, behavior, expectations are all different. But I think as we grow, I learned that, between my wife and myself, we want to have a good family. So I feel like, the expectation between the both sides is the same, really to be honest and integrity. So if I'm honest to her, I also, I expect her also to be honest to me as well. So every time after the argument, at the end, we try to have a good, maybe counsel, not necessarily a resolution, but at least we try to come to a good ending from the argument. And then we learn from the argument that, well, what should we do next time? Because the arguments will which keep coming back for the rest of our life. So as we learn more, then we adjust ourselves to get along better and better. So yeah, that's why we need to be like, one of the important part will be honest with each other. So we express our, what's the point of frustration or what's the argument, so we can break up and we can have a discussion. In fact, I learned a lot from Selena. She's more like expressing her frustration, So I have to listen to learn also to be patient, to listen to her different opinion. So if you get married, pretty much every couple will go through the similar
Every
journey.
couple. It may not be the same thing, but yeah, we'll talk more about it.
For us, I think we have gone through both of these two panelists' experience. So when we first got married, like for the first 6 months, I would say, we had fights like all the time. We felt like we all got lost. It's like what
Winnie.
Winnie's mentioned. It's not just two people marrying each other. It's the two families like get together. They don't know each other. They probably see each other like the second time for our family to be in. It's not wedding pretty much. So there are lots of arguments. Like it's not about us. It's just about our families. Like I fight for my family. He fights for his family too. So that was a very hard time for us after we got married. Like now we don't go back to Hong Kong now for Chinese New Year because we know that we will be like either his family or my family. Like why won't you be at our place on the first of the New Year? So we fight for that. So that's why we don't go back to Chinese New Year anymore. So after times like goes by, I think both of us pray. Like as I know that before we got married, I knew that like this is a guy that I want to get married. I appreciate him a lot. So I don't want to like just give up, right? I feel like he does the same thing to you. And I think after like it sounds like well, it's amazing that I think after we pray, you would just see, you would know that like, okay, well I learned something from him. I think I should change because I'm also a very expressive person. I think it's just a really thing. So I complain a
Please
lot.
speak for yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just myself. I think there's more guys here. So, I complain a lot too. I drive 1.5 hours back and forth in the house. Came home, very tired, very sleepy, didn't want to do anything. I complain a lot. I complain about work. I think at a certain point, because my husband is a very patient person, and I feel like at a certain point, I know that he got scared because I start to have my emotion. So I learned that I have to change because I don't want to get nervous when I always expose or something like that. So I would say I've learned a lot through the marriage. I think I do become a better person. I think you agree to that too, right? Thank you. But I do feel that I learned to love more. I was much more selfish, I would say, before I got married. And I learned from him a lot. He has been a very great person for me to learn from. I think to me it's great. I'm very glad that I have this marriage.
Good.
What's your question again? Can you repeat?
Honesty, work with your impulses. This really, you're really blessed that somebody is really sharing their heart with you. Sometimes it's really hard to even ask your own parents that they don't have to share stuff with you. So listen really well and learn from it.
Well, I've only married one woman, so I I really don't have a lot of choice but to follow through that decision. So I think it was really bad at the beginning. So we fight a lot, and then we couldn't believe why we got married. And then, well, you know that it's a decision. It's a choice that you make, and it's a sacrament, you know, on top of that. So, well, that's actually the thing that actually bound the two of us together. And we have to work it out. And then if you have that commitment to work it out, you get better at it. This is not like basketball that you join a basketball team and you realize that you suck and you never grow up taller, then you pick another sport, right? As long as your parents are willing to pay for it. Or this is different from a debate team. You realize that you're not very good at it just because it's a decision that you made. I mean, you can switch to, you know, something else. But for marriage, it's not. So you have to find a way to work it out. I think for the younger ones, if you have that commitment, you'll get better at it. You'll know what you want. You know, you'll know whether the spouse, you know, it's sharing the same faith that you have. If it's not, yeah, then you can work it out.
Any questions? Okay. And then the third question we have was, we're changing tone. So the third question is, what do you need to do daily in order to keep yourself pure, faithful and truthful to yourself and to your spouse? What do you need to do in order to be pure, to be faithful, trustworthy to yourself and to your spouse?
Self-awareness. If someone tells you that 10% of your daily input into your brain is toxic, I mean, would you take it? If someone tells you that, I mean, you probably won't take it. If you have that self-awareness, you know, what if it's 1%? So you wanted to work towards, you know, minimizing that number. There's so many toxic in the world, especially with the internet and YouTube and all that. So you really have to work on filtering those out or cleansing yourself on a daily basis. That's what I do. And especially when you have a spouse, you talk to them, you talk to her, you communicate and be honest. You know, it's hard to see so many people and not feel like they are attracted. You know, there are a lot of men and women, you know, even at my age, I think they're very attractive. Well, now I tell them, well, hey, I think that girl looks very pretty. What do you think? I think that guy looks very, very handsome. What do you think? And we would share. It's not like I wanted to do something more. You know, more you share, more you communicate, and turn into that, you realize that, well, I mean, more commonalities that we have between the two, and more things that we realize that we have different opinions. That's how we communicate.
So for me, my answer to this question is pretty simple and straightforward. So like from my experience, I feel like faith in God and also trust in your spouse. That would be my answer, because like for 2 years, the past few years, I was in Hong Kong just with my son. We were there for 2 years. My husband has been here by himself without God. So that was a pretty long time to be a part of each other, and
experience, important thing is, try to avoid the temptation, try to stay away from the temptation. As we decided, our Father, one of the sentences say, keep ourselves from the temptation, and that's important. But at the time, sometimes you need to fight against the temptation, so at that time you need to rely on prayer and, maybe consult with somebody. Because every day you got different temptation. You listen to different song that maybe, is back to you, or you see some person, maybe a pretty person, a lady or a man, they're saying other temptations. So it's not only for temptation can be anything. It's something from the evil side to lead you to commit a sin. So if you don't stop and to stay away from that, then you avoid most of the problems.
For me, just the fear of the consequences keeps me grounded. I'll be so afraid that I'm not being faithful, that I will not only lose my husband, I will lose my son, I will lose the respect from family, friends, and that fear is like, why would I want to go and do something so stupid and just lose everything I have worked so hard to get to this point? So I always thank God for reminding me if there are temptations, because I'm working in a Bible where it's mostly men, very friendly, very nice, easy to work with, and there are temptations, no doubt, but that fear of saying, oh my God, what if something happens? Do I really want to go there? No. I don't want to lose that. So it helps when I go back to God and say, thank you for reminding me. So that's how I try to stay strong.
Question? Okay. The last question is not really so much from the couple side. The last question is, what might your child or children do when parents are struggling to grow in faith and constant union with one another? Where is God in the time like this? So, for example, parents are fighting all the time. Parents, sometimes you all said it. Sometimes you argue, sometimes you don't feel good, but you don't feel that somebody is listening to you. That is a must between the relationship. But our question today is, how would you suggest us as children do when we see you arguing? When we see that you're not doing well, what do we do?
I know when our son sees us argue, he'll put his head down and he'll just do his homework, and we'll argue. We're right in front of him arguing. I know we're hurting him. And there are times it's so hard to stop arguing because you're in the middle of arguing, you just can't stop, and it seems so hard to, we know that he hears us. And I don't know, I haven't really solved that problem. I do know that he, on his own, just in college, he goes to church on his own. He seems to have more faith than even I think I have. And I hope that he does pray that he gets strength from God. And the fact that we keep communicating with him, that we tell them that we are getting a lot of people here to see us, that might help. Again, I don't think we're having to solve our problem.
Well, you know, when me and my wife were arguing, you know, and we both are very emotional, right? At that moment, we may not have Jesus or God in our mind anymore. We just focus on arguing, and then, you know, everyone's so angry on something. So I hope my son can, at that moment, can bring us back to Jesus in our midst, so we can take our mind back to God. So try to take out some of the emotion and become, you know, bringing love among us. So because also argument has no definite solutions. It's just forgiveness, love can resolve most of the problem. So I hope that is my expectation from my son.
Alright, for us, so my son is very young, he's only 3 years old now, so he is quite expressive. Like when my husband and I, we start to have emotion talking loud to each other, he will immediately, like, you can see his reaction immediately. He will tell you like, okay, mommy stop, we gotta stop talking. And he starts to get scared. You can tell like from his behavior. And that immediately remind me about this. When I was young, my parents fight a lot, and that does make me feel hurt too. So that reminds me of that, and then like immediately I know I have to change my actions so that it won't affect his behavior and his growing habit as well. So that's how we get to. I feel like that's what like trying to make me realize that I should stop.
It's hard not to argue sometimes. If you guys think that, yeah, I mean, from your perspective, you know, they fight all the time. They get in discussion very loudly. That's not the only option. I mean, they can argue, but they don't have to argue in a certain way. So I came from a similar family that my parents argue a lot. When I choose a girl, I told myself I'm not going to pick a girl who would argue with me all the time. It doesn't mean I win all the time, or she just listens to me. It's just that the personality just won't work out. And my brother, you know, who grew up in the same family, knows that too. Right? So that's, I guess, the better outcome of having a family that argues a lot. That you know that you don't want to get exactly the same thing. You don't want to get someone else. But from your perspective, I think the time and the money and the investment that your parents put on you, it's very important to them that they don't want to mess up, that they don't want to risk that. So whenever you see your parents argue, if you could, step up and tell them, hey, is that how you want me to communicate with my spouse when I grow up? They won't. If my daughter asks me that when she gets older, I won't jeopardize. You know, I would clear my mind and be like, either I argue inside the room, or I'll be more aware not to show myself as a bad example to my kid. So when you guys just step up and ask that simple question, is that why you guys got married? You know, just to get into a conversation or a discussion or an argument that this is the only way for you guys to resolve that. They'll listen because you guys are too important to them, and they'll get it. But if you don't say anything and then you just shut yourself in a room, they probably don't think that you guys are even aware of it, and they probably don't think that it's hurting you guys. But if you guys step up, you know, just like other things, they'll be more aware of it.
So for this session, I think both of the adults also, it's almost like having an examination of conscience, right? That's what the church is supposed to be. In one sense, I really wanted to give you the question and prepare. But I think that's really not the point. Because if you have to rehearse for what you need to say, it won't be too authentic. Huh? So this is what I hear. Now for those students, you see some of the things that it can be benefited by your parents. Peter is going to post this class. Make sure they watch it, okay? Because it's going to help you. But for the whole class, I'm going to give you some of the conclusion. So let's see if you're getting the same thing that I'm getting. So, how to love is really important. Some of you have mentioned my spouse, my husband or wife, they're willing to do a lot, right? They're willing to sacrifice. And sometimes I complain. Is there anything wrong with that? So you have to think of yourself. If you marry somebody, they don't do anything. And that's why all of them have said it. The first year of marriage, after honeymoon, you heard the term all the time. After the honeymoon, go downhill. Because the habit is so different, right? Let's say if my parents have to work really hard, they may not be able to keep up with the clean house. But if you are growing up in a family that if you misplace one thing, your mom will go ballistic. And two of them get married, you're going to hear argument all the time. So even little things like that, you have to compromise. And it's really, really important to know, to really spend time for dating and know other people's families too, right? Because you're not just only married, two of you, and like Disney movie, live everlasting. There's no such things. So you have to know and be willing to change. So some of you have talked about, two of you get married and then you have children. But in fact, before you have the children, you have to work on, you have to have a new concept. When you one day want to get married, you have to ask yourself, all my freedom is going to be gone. I have to check with somebody. I'm no longer me anymore. It's three of us. Three is not like the child. Three is God, my spouse, and me. Okay, I love baseball, but my wife hates it. What do I do? Can I go watch a game once a year? Can you waste that time for somebody that you love? Or you say, okay, you love baseball, but you don't love shopping. Can we do that at the same time? You do something fun, I do something fun. There's a lot of different kind of things that you get to talk to each other. And this is why you have to be sticking with the Catholic Church. Because with the Catholic Church, before you get married, they make you is the word, to go to a retreat called Cana. And they will bring questions like this. Okay, who is in charge of the money? Who is going to call that tonight we're going to have fun? They make you think of everything that you may not be able to talk about. So this is why, even though a lot of the people, they don't have good intention, they will just say to you, the church has so much rules. Give it up. It's your life. Do whatever you want. Is it or the church is protecting you, right? One of the father coach the daughter these things. I think it's genius. He told the daughter, every time when you meet a guy, watch them how to drive. Because when you're driving, subconsciously, all your habit comes. If you're aggressive, you're aggressive. If people take advantage of you, don't blame. And then they come in front of you, and you will make your choice. You either slow down and say, hey, idiot, right? Or they will do something. You will know the personality of the person. Watch the person that you think that you love so much. Listen to them and hear when they are arguing, when they hate somebody, how do they hate that person? Listen to them carefully. Because if that person hate, I don't know, the neighbor, they think of all these nasty things to do to that person. When the time that they don't like you, they will do the same thing. Because they're capable to do it. So you need to learn. When somebody gets upset, are they still godly-like? It's really, really important. When somebody offends that person, did they go to their family and hurt them? You need to know that. Right? So, Joanne was saying that I am emotions. I need to change. I was selfish. In one sense, she didn't say it. I am a princess. Now, Guy, it's very special to marry a princess. Your mom is a princess too. I tell her that. Okay? Princess are all good. I'm not saying princess is not good. But then when you marry a princess, you need to know that you have to wait for them.
No.
Only if they get married.
Yeah, princess.
No. It depends who you marry.
You're a princess too. No, princess is
Princess Grace.
Yeah, princess.
If you're not in line, if you're not in line, if you're a duke and you're a duchess, you're not a prince. Oh, no, it depends. Yeah, right.
Does it really matter?
You have to marry a king to be a queen. A princess just.
Oh, I get.
In my case, a princess become a sea lion.
That's another way to look at it, right? They don't even know the difference.
All princesses
Well,
become your.
So what happened is,
Um,
when you decided you'll marry a princess, you need to not complain and work even more harder to be patient with that somebody. Because eventually, after, like your husband is not here now, after doing all this tour, coming home, hearing complaints,